Now we will, after chapter 6b, we will start with chapter 7, that is last chapter, miscellaneous provisions. So, section 16, power of central government to issue directions. Directions कौन issue करेगा? Central government. That's just sufficient, I think. Then decision of central government whether on question is one of policy or not shall be final. Then power of central government to supersede the board. Central government supersede the board if opinion that on account of grave emergency board is unable to discharge the functions as per provisions of this act, or board has persistently made default in complying with direction issued by the central government as under section 16, and as a result of such default financial position has deteriorated, or the circumstances exist render it necessary in the public interest so to do, then in these cases central government can supersede the board for a period not exceeding 6 months by a notification. Upon publication of notification, the superseding board, all the members shall, as from the date of supersession, vacate their offices. All the power, functions and duties exercised by or on behalf of board shall, until the board is reconstituted, exercised and discharged by person central government direct. And all property owned or controlled by board shall, until it is reconstituted, वेस्ट इन द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. कि ये जो मेन पॉइंट्स हाईलाइट कर रहे हैं बस यही आपको याद रखने हैं, इसी में से एमसीक्यूज आपके सॉल्व हो जाएंगे. देन ऑन द एक्सपायरेशन ऑफ द पीरियड, कौन सा पीरियड? 6 months ऑफ सुपरसेशन, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट में रिकॉन्स्टिट्यूट द बोर्ड बाय फ्रेश अपॉइंटमेंट एंड shall not be deemed disqualification for appointment. Before the expiration of the period, central government may take at any time supersection take under this subsection. Central government shall cause a notification issued under subsection 1 and full report of action taken to be laid before each house of parliament. Central government. Okay. Then return and report section 18. बोर्ड फर्निश करेगा रिपोर्ट्स किसको? टू सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. किसी भी टाइम जब वो डायरेक्ट करेगी सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, एंड सच पर्टिकुलर्स, दैट्स इट. बस ये है कि रिपोर्ट किसको सबमिट होती है? सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को. देन बोर्ड शेल विद इन 90 days फ्रॉम द एंड ऑफ ईच फाइनेंशियल ईयर सबमिट टू द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट रिपोर्ट गिविंग ट्रू एंड फुल अकाउंट of its activities, policy and program during the previous financial year, and it shall be laid before the House of Parliament. Section 19 delegation. Board may by general or special order in writing delegate to any member, officer or of the board or any other person powers and function except the power under section 29. बाकी जितनी भी पावर्स हैं वो बोर्ड डेलीगेट कर सकता है. तो ये इंपॉर्टेंट बन जाते हैं. कौन सी पावर बोर्ड डेलीगेट नहीं कर सकता? दैट इज प्रोवाइडेड अंडर सेक्शन 29. देन अपील्स. एनी पर्सन एग्रीव्ड बाय एन ऑर्डर ऑफ बोर्ड में, एग्रीव्ड किससे है? ऑर्डर ऑफ द बोर्ड मेड बिफोर द कमेंसमेंट ऑफ सिक्योरिटीज लॉ अमेंडमेंट एक्ट और द रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन अपील टू सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. एंड 20A जब हम देखते हैं, 20 देखते 20. एनी पर्सन एग्रीड बाय ऑर्डर ऑफ बोर्ड मेड बिफोर, ये इंपॉर्टेंट है, अमेंडमेंट एक्ट 1999 अपील टू सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. नो अपील शेल बी एडमिटेड आफ्टर एक्सपायरी ऑफ पीरियड प्रिस्क्राइब्ड. पीरियड प्रिस्क्राइब कौन करेगी? सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. एवरी अपील शेल बी अकम्पनीड बाय कॉपी ऑफ ऑर्डर अपील अगेंस्ट. प्रोसीजर एज मे बी प्रिस्क्राइब्ड. बस मेन यही है कि एग्रीव जो होगा बोर्ड की ऑर्डर से बिफोर द अमेंडमेंट एक्ट 1999 वो अपील करेगा सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को. बार ऑफ जुरिस्डिक्शन. नो ऑर्डर पास बाय बोर्ड और एडजुडिकेटिंग ऑफिसर अंडर दिस एक्ट शैल बी अपीलेबल एक्सेप्ट एज प्रोवाइडेड अंडर 15T और 20. नो सिविल कोर्ट हैव जुरिस्डिक्शन in which board or adjudicating officer is empowered. Okay. 21 saving clause है. Nothing in this act shall exempt person from any suit or proceeding which might apart from this act be brought against him. मतलब कि इस एक्ट के अलावा भी अगर किसी और एक्ट में एक्शन बनता है देन वो उस पे इसी एक्ट बार नहीं लगाता है. ठीक है, दोनों में प्रोसीडिंग उसके अगेंस्ट कंटिन्यू हो सकती हैं. 22 मेंबर ऑफिसर एंड एम्प्लॉयज डीम्ड पब्लिक सर्वेंट्स, इसके बोर्ड के डीम्ड पब्लिक सर्वेंट विद इन सेक्शन 21 ऑफ इंडियन पिनल कोड. देन प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ एक्शन टेकन इन गुड फेथ, मतलब कोई भी सूट प्रोसिक्यूशन और लीगल प्रोसीडिंग नहीं हम स्टार्ट करेंगे अगेंस्ट सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट, बोर्ड और उसका कोई भी ऑफिसर फॉर एनीथिंग विच इज़ डन इन गुड फेथ, डन और इंटेंडेड टू बी डन. देन ऑफेंसेस विदाउट प्रेजुडिस टू अवॉर्ड ऑफ पेनल्टी, मतलब पेनल्टी तो हम लगा ही सकता है एडजुडिकेटिंग ऑफिसर, इसके साथ साथ अगर कॉन्ट्रावेंशन होती है विदाउट प्रेजुडिस टू अवॉर्ड ऑफ पेनल्टी, इफ पर्सन कॉन्ट्रावेंस दिस एक्ट ही शैल बी पनिशेबल with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 10 years, fine extend to 25 crore rupees or with both. मतलब in addition to penalty he can be prosecuted for the offence, and if any person fail to pay the penalty, जो penalties हमने impose किया सेक्शन 15A से लेके सेक्शन 15JB तक, वो सारी जो हैं अगर उनमें से कुछ पे करने को फेल हो जाता है जो एक पर्सन है, देन ही शैल बी पनिशेबल विद इम्प्रिजनमेंट फॉर टर्म नॉट लेस देन 1 month, एक्सटेंड टू 10 years, फाइन एक्सटेंड टू 25 crore रुपीज़ और विद बोथ. ठीक है. देन कॉम्पोजिशन ऑफ सर्टन, कॉम्पोजिशन मतलब कि अगर कोई ऐसा ऑफेंस है जो नॉट पनिशेबल विद इम्प्रिजनमेंट ओनली और इम्प्रिजनमेंट प्लस फाइन, मतलब कि कोई ऐसा ऑफेंस है जिसमें सिर्फ पनिशमेंट के फॉर्म में सिर्फ फाइन इम्पोज किया जा सकता है, देन द कंपाउंडिंग कैन बी डन बाय सिक्योरिटीज एपलेट ट्राइब्यूनल और अ कोर्ट बिफोर विच प्रोसीडिंग्स आर पेंडिंग. सेम सेक्शन 320 ऑफ CRPC में भी कंपाउंडिंग है और यहाँ पे भी कंपाउंडिंग हो सकती है. पावर टू ग्रांट इम्यूनिटी सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के पास है. में रिकमेंडेशन ऑफ बोर्ड if satisfied that any person alleged to have violated the provisions made a full and true disclosure of alleged violation, grant to such person immunity from prosecution, provided no such immunity granted in cases where proceedings for prosecution already instituted. मतलब कि बिफोर द प्रोसीडिंग्स हैव स्टार्टेड अगेंस्ट द पर्सन, उससे पहले पहले वो सेटलमेंट के लिए इम्यूनिटी के लिए कोर्ट सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को एप्लीकेशन दे सकता है. एंड द रिकमेंडेशन ऑफ बोर्ड जो है शेल नॉट बी बाइंडिंग ऑन द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. इम्यूनिटी ग्रांटेड मे बी विदड्रॉन एट एनी टाइम if satisfied that he had in the course of proceeding not complied with the provisions of not complied with the condition of any immunity or given false evidence, not complied with condition on which immunity was granted, then the immunity can be withdrawn. Section 25 exemption from tax and wealth, tax on wealth and income, and ये important, notwithstanding anything contained in wealth tax act, the income tax act or any other enactment for time being force relating to tax on wealth, income, profit or gains, the board किसको protection है, board को, existing board shall not be liable to pay wealth tax, income tax or any tax in respect of their wealth, income, profit or gains derived. मतलब कि ये जो exemption है टैक्स की किसको मिली है, सिर्फ बोर्ड को, उसके एम्प्लॉयज़ के लिए नहीं है. ओके. देन कॉग्निजेंस ऑफ ऑफेंस टेकन बाय कोर्ट, नो कोर्ट टेक कॉग्निजेंस ऑफ ऑफेंस पनिशेबल अंडर दिस एक्ट सेव ऑन ए कंप्लेंट मेड बाय द बोर्ड. और कोर्ट कौन सी कॉग्निजेंस लेगी, कंप्लेंट किसके पास करेंगे, स्पेशल कोर्ट्स को. जो कि 26A में इस्टेब्लिश होंगी. सेक्शन सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट में इस्टेब्लिश और डेजिग्नेट एज मैनी स्पेशल कोर्ट एज deemed necessary. Special court shall consist of single judge who shall be appointed by central government with concurrence of Chief Justice of High Court within whose jurisdiction judge to be appointed is working, not qualified to be appointed judge of special court unless he is immediately before such appointment सेशन जज और एडिशनल सेशन जज. तो कौन होगा स्पेशल कोर्ट का अपॉइंटमेंट के लिए क्वालिफाई? जो कि ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्टिंग सेशन जज या एडिशनल सेशन जज हो. 26B ऑफेंसेस ट्रायबल बाय स्पेशल कोर्ट. कौन कौन सी ऑफेंसेस ट्राई कर सकते हैं स्पेशल कोर्ट? कौन सी कोर्ट है? Notwithstanding anything in CRPC, all offences under this act committed prior to the Amendment Act of 2014 on or after the date of such commencement shall take cognizance of and tried by special court established in the area. Okay. Then appeal and revision. High Court may exercise all powers conferred by Chapter 29 and 30 of CRPC as if the special court were a court of section. 26D application of court to proceeding before special court. Provisions of CRPC apply करेंगे. Special court deemed court of session and prosecutor shall be deemed public prosecutor. Person conducting prosecution should have been in practice as an advocate for not less than 7 years or should have held post or a period of not less than 7 years under union or state requiring special knowledge of law. क्या 2 क्वालिफिकेशन वाले बंदे ही उसमें प्रोसिक्यूशन में स्पेशल कोर्ट के सामने प्रोसिक्यूट कर सकते हैं. 26E ट्रांजिशनल प्रोविजन. Any offence which is tried by special court until special court is established shall be tried by court of session in that area. Triable by special court until it is established, cognizance of and tried by court of session in that area. Then 27 contravention by companies. कंपनीज के केस में कोई ऑफेंस कमिट हुआ है, देन every person in charge responsible to conduct business of the company liable to be proceeded and punished, and he shall be deemed guilty provided that nothing in this subsection shall render any such person liable for punishment if he proves, burden of proof उस पे है, contravention of committed without his knowledge or he had exercised all due diligence to prevent commission of such contravention. Nothing contained in subsection 1 where contravention under this act has been committed and it is proved contravention committed with the consent or connivance or is attributable to neglect of any officer, then shall be deemed to be guilty and punishable proceeded accordingly. For the purpose of this section, company explanation तो हर जगह पढ़नी है. Explanation. Company means any body corporate includes firm or association of individuals. Director in relation to a firm means partner to a firm. Then 28 is omitted. 28A recovery of amounts. If any person fail to pay penalty then or fail to comply with direction of the dischargement order, then recovery officer may draw up under his signature statement specifying the amount due and herein referred as certificate and proceed to recover in following modes: attachment and sale of person's movable property, immovable property, arrest and detention, appointing a receiver for both movable and immovable property, attaching persons' bank accounts. Then person movable and immovable property of or money held in bank account shall include any property or money held in bank accounts which has been मतलब कि अगर उसने immediately उससे पहले कोई amount जो है वो directly और indirectly transfer किया है to his spouse, minor child और son's wife, जो कि विदाउट एनी जस्ट टू उसको अवॉइड करने के लिए, तो भी उसको वो अमाउंट भी अटैच किया जा सकता है उसमें. देन रिकवरी ऑफिसर बी एम्पावर्ड टू सीक असिस्टेंस ऑफ लोकल डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन while exercising the powers, notwithstanding anything, the recovery of amounts pursuant to non-compliance shall have precedence over any other claim. That's it. इसके बाद 28B continuance of proceeding. When a person dies, his legal representative liable to pay sum which deceased would have been liable to pay if he had not died, like in the like manner and to same extent as the deceased, provided that in case penalty payable, in case of penalty, legal representative liable only in case penalty has been imposed before the death of the deceased person. उसके बाद हम करेंगे every legal representative shall be personally liable for sum payable in his capacity as legal representative while his liability for such sum remain undischarged. He creates a charged on or disposes of part of asset may come in, but such liability shall be limited to the value of asset charged, disposed or parted with, limited to the extent estate of deceased capable of meeting the liability. लीगल रिप्रेजेंटेटिव की डेफिनेशन जो सेम हर जगह होती है, रिप्रेजेंट द स्टेट ऑफ डिसीज्ड includes who intermeddles with the state of deceased and where a party sues in a representative character on whom estate devolves on death of the party suing. 28C power of board not to apply International Financial Services Center, ये 2020 में आया ये IFSC Act. Notwithstanding anything containing any other law for time being enforced, powers exercisable by the board shall not extend to IFSC, shall be exercised by the authority, IFSC authority established under the that act. So far as regulation of financial product, financial services and financial institution in the IFSC are concerned. ये इम्पॉर्टेंट है. ये पावर हमने पढ़ी थी. जो डेलीगेट नहीं कर सकती बोर्ड वो है पावर टू मेक रूल्स. सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट में मेक रूल्स फॉर कैरिंग आउट द पर्पसेस ऑफ दिस एक्ट. मेक रेगुलेशंस सेक्शन 30. बोर्ड में रूल्स सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट बनाएगी, रेगुलेशन बोर्ड बनाएगी 30 में. देन ये आपको एक बार रीड कर लेना, वैसे इतना इम्पोर्टेंट आएगा तो नहीं. रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन लेड बिफोर पार्लियामेंट, टोटल पीरियड ऑफ 30 days, 2 or more successive session. Application of other law not barred, that is this act shall be in addition to, not in derogation of any other law for time being enforced. Power to remove difficulties within 2 years. 2 years कहाँ गया? 5 years. Within 5 years of the commencement of this act, if there is any difficulty, then central government may by order publish any such provision to make removing the difficulty. But after 5 years कोई applicable नहीं है ये. Validation of certain acts, any act done or purporting to be done under the principal act in respect of calling for information from or furnishing information to other authorities having functions similar to those of board be deemed to be valid and effective as if amendments made in this act had been in force at all times. इसने कौन सा और इस एक्ट ने सेबी ऑर्डिनेंस 1992 रिपील किया है. ठीक है, फिनिश. हमारा सेबी एक्ट फिनिश हो गया. अब हम इसको एक बार रिवाइज कर लेते हैं, चैप्टर स्पेशली 7 को जो हमने अभी पढ़ा. स्टार्ट होता है सेक्शन हमारा 16 से। Section 16 power of central government to issue directions. Then section 17 power of central government to supersede the board. 17 में supersession है और 18 में हमारा सुपरसीड होएगा मैक्सिमम 6 months के लिए. ग्रेव इमरजेंसी अनेबल टू डिस्चार्ज द फंक्शंस बोर्ड persistently may default as a result of the default financial position deteriorated and necessary in public interest and within 6 months बोर्ड जो है रिकॉन्स्टिट्यूट करेगा सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट फ्रेश अपॉइंटमेंट करके. रिटर्न्स एंड रिपोर्ट्स जो हैं वो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को देगा बोर्ड. विदिन 90 days ऑफ एंड ऑफ फाइनेंशियल ईयर एक रिपोर्ट ऑफ देगा ट्रू एंड फुल अकाउंट ऑफ इट्स एक्टिविटीज़. सेक्शन 19 board may in writing delegate any of the powers to its officer or member. Section 20 appeal कौन से orders के against which have been made before the Amendment Act of 1999, then appeal is to central government. Then section 20A bar of jurisdiction of civil court in which the board or adjudicating officer has power. Section 21 saving of prosecution under other acts. Section 22 members, officer and employees deemed public servant. 23 protection of action taken in good faith. 24 the offences other than awarding penalty for not compliance with the provisions of this act, they can be prosecuted for the same offence. Then 24A composition by the securities appellate tribunal where proceedings are pending. 24B power to grant immunity where the central government can grant the immunity if the person has made a full and true disclosure in respect of violation, and such immunity of the proceedings can be granted before the proceedings have been instituted, and it shall be on the recommendation of the board which shall not, but the recommendation shall not be binding on the central government. Further, the immunity can be withdrawn anytime if it's found that he is given false evidence or not complied with conditions on which immunity was granted. 25 the board and existing securities exchange board shall be exempted from payment of tax on in wealth or income derived. Section 26 cognizance of offences by the courts. No court shall take cognizance other than on a complaint by the board, and board should there should be established special courts under section 26A by the central government which in which there shall be a single judge appointed by the central government with the concurrence of chief justice of the high court, and the qualification of appointment shall be that he is immediately before the appointment a session judge or additional session judge. Establishment special court के बाद 26B में offences triable by special court which are committed prior to the date of commencement of security law amendment act 2014 or on or after the date of such commencement. All offences are triable by special courts, and appeals and revision shall be before the high courts. Then application in 26D application of court to proceeding before special court. The special court CRPC shall apply. Then it shall be deemed to be a court of session. The prosecutor shall be deemed to be a public prosecutor who shall have practiced as an advocate for at least 7 years or held a post under the union requiring special knowledge of law for at least 7 years. 26E transitional provisions, that is special court until the special court is established. The powers shall be the cognizance and trial shall be by the court of session in that area. 27 contravention by companies. Any officer liable shall be responsible except if he has proved that the act was done without his knowledge or he exercised due diligence. And then 28A recovery of amounts by the recovery officer when after he forms a certificate and proceeding the following modes. attachment and sale of movable and immovable property, appointing of receiver in respect of the movable or immovable property, arrest of the person and detention in person, and attachment of person's bank accounts. Then he can take the assistance of local administration, recovery of amounts pursuant to non-compliance have precedence over claim on any other type. 28b, continuance of proceeding. Even if the person who has contravened has died, the proceeding shall be continued against his legal representative. But in case of penalty, legal representative liable only in case penalty imposed before his death, and she shall be liable up to the extent of the state of deceased capable of meeting the liability. And 28c, power of board not to apply to IFSC. IFSC is International Financial Service Center, that is and it's inserted by in IFSC Act 2019. Exercise the powers of the board shall not be exercised by it but by the IFSC authority established under the Act 2019. So far as regulation of financial products, financial service and financial institution is concerned, central government to make rules under section 29, board to make regulations under section 30, then rules and regulation laid before parliament under section 31 for total period of 30 days in 2 or more successive sessions. 32, application of other laws not barred, that is, this act shall be in addition to and not in derogation of provisions of other act. Then section 34, central government may remove difficulty in any provision after the expiry of 5 years from the commencement of this act. Then section 35, repeal and saving. Sebi Ordinance 1992 is repealed by Sebi Act 1992.